Welcome to 4-Quarter Lives, a podcast exploring the profound impact of longer lives and careers on everything: countries, companies, couples, and careers. I'm Avivah Wittenberg-Cox, and on this week's 4-Quarter Lives, I welcome Anne Thevenet-Abitbol, who works with French multinational Danone as an internal thought leader and change agent. She's an innovator brought in by former CEO Franck Riboud to nourish the company's strategic thinking with future trends. She launched the company's gender balance initiative with a program called Eve. It was a great success, and then, as early as 2012, she followed it with the launch of OCTAVE, which focuses on generational balance and 50-plus employees, one of the first companies to do so. OCTAVE has now become an annual get-together of over 40 French companies working on longevity strategies, with Anne Thevenet-Abitbol, who's always been several steps ahead of the game, leading the way. So welcome, Anne Thevenet-Abitbol, to 4-Quarter Lives. Delighted to have you.
Thank you, Avivah, for welcoming me, and I'm very happy to share the initiatives we had.
So you've been working across all kinds of areas of melding business and social impact together. But for today's podcast, I really want to focus on the initiatives you've been leading at Danone on rethinking midlife and intergenerational lives and workforces. You've done a lot of work, and I find it very interesting that you've done kind of the same thematic evolution as me, because you started with a focus on gender balance, and now you're working on generational balance, which sounds very familiar to me. So we're going to talk all about that. So OCTAVE is the name of a program that you've been launching and inspiring at Danone. And if I quote a little bit what you told me it's for promoting the transformation at the crossroads of the generations. So tell me a little bit more about it. How did it start? What was the context?
Yes, and as you said, it started with another event aimed to help women to get to the top. The name of this event was Eve. It's still Eve program because it takes place in Evian. And because, of course, we can say that she was one of the first actresses of change. She brought the knowledge to men.
By teaching them how to eat the apple.
Yeah, exactly.
Very healthy for longevity.
So this was a request of the former president of Danone, Franck Riboud. I reported to him. And despite I was not at the HR, but I'm creative, developing new ideas, he asked me to design an event to tackle the gender glass ceiling issue. And so that was the EVE program, built on the conviction that if we want to change things, we first have to change ourselves. So at that time, in 2010, it was probably amongst the very first events to talk about self-development, because our company sent people to acquire new tools, hard skills, but soft skills was brand new. It was the beginning. So the EVE program has a great success, and people, I say people because we had put a quota for men, 20% of men. So people,
it was an annual event, kind of conference.
Yes, it is an annual event, and it's the cross
80% women, 20% men. I love it.
Yeah, with 20% men and cross company, a lot of companies, because Franck Riboud, who asked me to design this event, told me also to do it with all the companies in order to be stronger, to really change things. So the EVE program was and still is a great success. And it's interesting because I am at Danone, but it's L'Oréal who asked us to design it for Asia. So we have an African edition also, and soon to be a LATAM edition. So that's the EVE program. She's the biggest, the elder sister of OCTAVE. So when I saw the success and how it helps people to really transform themselves, to stop behaving like they are victims, but to be part of the solution, I wondered, are there any other population in the company that needs help? And very easily, you found the elder. And in our company, and mostly...
Why did you come up with the elder? I mean, was there something you had heard, seen, experienced that got you
Yes, definitely. In our company that we've been calling the fast-moving consumer goods company, for example. Fast-moving means it's a bit different it seems that there is a contrast between fast-moving and elderly. And in many companies, as far as you get 45 years old, you're called senior. And very often, if you're not already at a good position, nobody bets on you anymore. 45 years old. I mean, we still have 20 years old of work before retirement.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, I have to help older people. And then I realized, I mean, who are those older people? I mean, I don't want to frame them and say, oh, look at the problem. Actually, the younger ones are also problems because they come to the company, they are full of energy, they want to do things, and they are framed, say, okay, do what you have to do and we'll see later. And then the generation in the middle, they are a bit harassed, for sure, and torn up between behaviors or practices, the behaviors of the baby boomers or the practices of the Gen Y, Gen Z that are digital natives, where we are more digital migrants. Yeah. Well, one said that with the COVID, we are all now...
we are all now at home, yes.
We are fluent with the topic. But then I thought it would be interesting to set up an event across generations. And the name OCTAVE came from this very idea of the company is like a piano where you play only the main octaves, the generation between about 30, 35 till 50, neglecting the lower octave, the older one, or the higher octave, the younger ones.
I love that image of the piano and the left out octaves to either side of the main notes. It's a very powerful one.
And don't you think, Avivah, it's a shame not to use the whole keyboard to have a nice symphony?
Sometimes the very best notes are those really high and low ones.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. And I realized that OCTAVE was also a name, as I already have Eve in my family. I thought it was nice to have OCTAVE.
So OCTAVE became the little brother to Eve. Very nice.
Exactly.
And again, did you just go to Franck Riboud, who I should perhaps mention to our perhaps global audience here, is a very famous, well-known, inspirational CEO in France who initiated an awful lot of inspiring leadership practices.
Oh, yeah, very visionary.
What was his reaction when you came with this idea? He just said, yep, go for it?
Yeah, he was very thrilled. And on the same process, saying, do that with other companies because, again, we're going to be stronger. So with Eve and OCTAVE, we have 40 companies being with us. And that's all together that we will succeed. And the objectives of OCTAVE at the beginning was really to make different generation understand the other generation, how they behave, what they want, and realize that actually we have much more in common than we initially thought. And then that was the beginning. And then I realized that actually the foundation of this program should be to help you understand the ever-changing world. Because once you understand the changing world, then whatever your age, you can keep going, you can adapt to it, you understand it, you can keep playing a role in it. And that's the very motto of the OCTAVE program, which is be yourself. Again, self-development, which is one of our key patterns. Be yourself and be an actor of a changing world. And into brackets, whatever your age. Because it's not a matter of age, it's a matter of curiosity, of ability to adapt, of ability to connect things, and to use the whole keyboards again, the differences and the abilities of different generations. That's also part of diversity.
So this is an annual conference that is kind of led by Danone, but brings together 40 different companies and their employees, representatives. What was the reaction or the input from the older and the younger?
One of our great achievements, I think, is that we are doing an inquiry satisfaction survey. And the good thing is that we have exactly the same note, whatever the generation. So it means that the way we tackle the issue is universal and talks to everyone. And this way is really to understand each other's behaviors, to understand how the world is evolving, and to be able to really be an actor of change. And to be an actor of change, you have to first be aligned with who you are, what you want, and then you're strong enough to look at this changing world and to understand it. So it's really building strong individuals for the sake of a collective performance. The stronger you are, the more aligned you are, you convey a positive energy, which is contagious.
So when did OCTAVE, the conference, begin, and what have you learned over the years of doing this?
We began in 2012.
So that was also very early on this topic.
Exactly. And what was interesting is that at the beginning, nobody wanted to come. All the companies said, we don't have any problems. As far as gender issue is concerned, yes, we do have to do something, but generations, nobody asked anything. We don't have problem, do we? And said, yeah, you do, because according to companies and according to the age of people in the companies, you don't behave the same way. You are not treated the same way according to your age. But it was hard. People say, no, we're not concerned. We're not so concerned. So it began very, very slowly. But now every companies understand that it's a pity not to deprive themselves of the whole keyboards. And people understand that it's not a matter of age, but it's a matter of understanding the never normal, this ever-changing world. So now people understand that it's important to send their employees to acquire not those soft skills we talked about before, but also this understanding, because everything is changing so fast. And I like this quote of Alvin Toffler saying that the illiterates of the 21st century won't be those people who doesn't know how to write or read, but people who doesn't know how to unlearn and relearn.
Yeah.
So it's really actually something that makes you never old, which is always learn new things. always be curious, open, being able to adapt and learn new things.
You've managed to convince a lot of other companies since then that it is time to put this on the agenda. Now they are more enthusiastically participating. I'm wondering, what's been the impact inside these organizations? How have they adapted to this theme? Has it changed their internal processes, approaches, marketing to older customers? I mean, have you seen a real shift in behaviors?
The shift came also in the fact that if you are part of the OCTAVE program, it shows your employees that you tackle the issue, that you recognize, yes, there is an issue. Yes, according your age, you're not treated at the same way.
Yeah.
So being part of the OCTAVE program shows the employee we take care of everyone and we want to take advantage of everyone. It's interesting because it paves the way, and they send sometimes older people that thought that they were put aside, and they realize that if the company invests in them because they send it to the OCTAVE program, it means that they count on them. And so it gives back the trust, the confidence they've lost. The young people also, they think that, wow, they count on me more than I thought. And the people in the middle, they understand they have not to carry everything on their shoulders.
Their own shoulders, yeah.
And their own shoulders, but to really take advantage of the whole generation in their teams, of the different generations in the team. And they all understand how true diversity is also so powerful.
Yeah.
So it gives a better knowledge, awareness of the subject, and good vibes and energy to the whole company.
So when Franck Riboud originally gave you the go-ahead to do this, he said, yes, you can do it, but with no budget and no team. So a very, interesting leadership move. How hard did you find it initially to sell colleagues on the concept and to get them to invest so that you could build OCTAVE into what it is today?
Actually, maybe to talk about my background and how I came to this position, I'm a former advertiser. I was the head of the strategic planning of BBDO in France.
Yep.
And the strategic planning is a way to look at things on very 360 degree and to understand how the market is, what role the brand can play. So what is the vision of the market and the mission of the brand and Franck Riboud heard about this, the existence of strategic planning, and he thought it would be interesting for him to have someone near him just thinking differently.
Out of the box.
Out of the box.
Yep.
So he hired me with the mission of developing any projects that has a marketing, societal, or human resources impact.
Right.
And so that's why. And the idea, you will have no team and no money, because I don't want you to interfere with existing teams, but to be like a free electron, a corporate hacker. And doing that, I think it was great. Very weird at the beginning, but at the end,
you built some skills.
Yeah, and also because it's very, very nice to think out of the box. I was deliberately put it out of my comfort zone, because I cannot pay someone to think with me or instead of me, but I have to develop empathy or observation or serendipity or all that or my own intuition in order to understand things around me and to be able to bring new projects. So each time I have an idea, I have to convince people to put money behind it, and I have to convince people to come and help me to develop the ideas. And if I don't convince anyone, either it means the idea is not good, or it means that it's not so important for me that I'm going to move mountains in order the idea to be realized.
How hard was it to sell initially the idea of OCTAVE to your colleagues? Was this kind of an immediate light switch that, yes, of course, this is cool, or...
Eve was, as I said, for the other companies, everyone said, yes, we have to do something for the glass ceiling, the gender glass ceiling. As far as the age was concerned, it was less obvious. But each time I have an idea, I designed it before coming. I'm not just an idea. I come with, if it's a product, with a packaging, with images. And because I know that if I come with the idea of a horse, I will go back with a camel, because everyone has an idea. So when I come with a baby, I already know the color of the skin, the color of the eyes, the color of the hair, then asking for help to buy the clothes, to design the rooms. And that's good, because the idea is very structured at the beginning, and then I need help. So everyone finds his own role aside me. Each time I attract only the best people for the idea. Yep. Because people that are convinced and they want to play with me, and they are very complementary. It's very good, because I have a very developed right brain and a very poor left brain. So each time I have an idea, I have to find my left brain to come with me.
I love the idea of the baby who you have to find clothing for by cooperation and getting by. And that's another wonderful image. I can see that as an advertising expert, you're very good on the metaphors. So tell me, that leads me a little bit to your Nold campaign that you started, which is another wonderful brand name. Tell me what it means to be Nold, or never old.
Actually, Nold is the little brother of OCTAVE, if I may say so.
We're getting a whole family here.
All the family. Actually, going regularly, of course, animating OCTAVE, I realized that what makes someone getting old? What is an old person? An old person is someone that doesn't have project anymore, doesn't have ability to connect to the changing world, doesn't want to adapt, is desireless. If you don't tick the boxes, you're not old. Yep. So what are you? I don't know, because there is like an invisible generation who feels, that was my bet, who feels that they are too old to be young, but too young to be old.
Yeah.
And so I suggest they are Nold, like never old, because actually...
Neither this nor that.
And I love this quote of George Burns, who was a comedian, who said, "You can't help getting older, but you don't have to get old."
Yes.
And I really, thought
Very
that,
true.
as I said, getting old is lacking desire, lacking ability to connect and all that stuff. And my intuition was, I am sure worldwide, there is a whole generation that feel invisible. Nobody talks to them. And old is not a bad name, but the problem is when someone says, "You old," it's not a compliment. It's really a good thing. So I thought it would be very nice to design a desirable name, like being Nold, like a mantra, like I will resist, I want to stay in the flow, keep rocking, getting older, but better, but older, but better, and things like that. So Danone was very interested by this approach. But at the end, they told me, we have to invest to other brands before. So maybe it's not the right time. And I said, okay, so let me, with my left brain named Charlotte, let me go ahead with Charlotte. And the both of us, we will go to the social networks, Instagram and Facebook first. And we will take France as a proof of concept.
Yep.
And we will go then to the social networks, and we will come back, not with PowerPoint saying, "Oh, our idea is great," but with a community. And we succeeded. The bet succeeded because we have 80,000 subscribers to social networks, and we are having also an old letter with also 80,000 subscribers. But we have a reach, because now it's the reach we have to look, of 1.5 million of French people a month.
Yep.
Looking at our content, and all the media called the Nold now a phenomenon. It may reach 17 million of people because we saw that people who come to us between 45 to 65 years old.
Yep. The midlife.
But when the journalist said it's that, a lot of people are writing us, "Come on, I'm 70 and I'm still Nold," or "Come on, I'm 30 years old. I want to be Nold because actually I was petrified with the idea of aging. And Nold is so desirable. It's so fun because actually Nold, what do we say? We say that as far as you have humor, as you are a bit light on the subject, and you keep having friends, having a social life, you keep paying attention to your body, your mind, you keep learning new things, then you're in the movement. So it's desirable. And just to end this long story, we have written Nold not in capital letters, but in small letters in order to go in the dictionary between young and old. We want to have Nold.
You want to be right center placed on your keyboard. Wonderful. Another wonderful metaphor. So Nold it is, and we will add all the links to find those social media campaigns that you've been running, Anne, in the show notes, because I think they're very inspirational, and I think many other countries are learning from you. Where else is Nold? Has it now spread well beyond France, I imagine?
Exactly. Actually, when we do some social listening, and we really found this invisible generation, which has more playful things to share than expected and wants to stay in the flow. So we give them a hand to say, okay, the first signs are, for example, when you scroll forever to find your birth date on the internet, or your children begins to leave the houses, or you need 3 days to recover from a hangover, or the French president is younger than you. So all these little signs.
That's a lot of people.
That make you think that maybe you have to take care a bit of yourself in order to remain on the top of who you are. And really, people are writing us, thank God I'm Nold. Thank God I'm Nold. And on LinkedIn and more people, they are really, for example, on the Festival de Cannes, I received, there is a newspaper who said, this movie is for Nold. For Nold people. So really it becomes now
part of the vocabulary.
It was a kind of, the sociologists are studying Nold now. So yes, it was missing. There was an empty space that Nold fills.
And I think it's wonderful. And I think we need to get that spread into the Anglo-Saxon world, because of course we don't even have to translate it, right? It's already, it's already in English. So I would also like to be Nold. I think it's a wonderful,
thank you, Avivah. You are Nold, definitely.
we are both of the Nold variety. After all you've done and seen and all this change, and now this subject is taking over a lot of media attention, are you optimistic or pessimistic about our capacity to kind of manage the challenge we're facing collectively?
Well, everyone... No, everyone is quoting Gramsci saying, when he said, I am pessimistic out of reason, but optimistic out of will. So, of course, when you see how the era is, you may be pessimistic. But when you're pessimistic, you just have to go to your bed and it's over. So I'd rather be optimistic. And I am optimistic also because I believe in the strengths of the individual. And for example, I see with Eve and Octave work on this posture of we are not victims, we are part of the solutions.
Yes.
And that's a great posture because it means you can master your life more than you initially thought. The more you align, the more you're vertical and strong, and it produces a lot of positive energy because as far as age is concerned, for example, it is both in the way the society looks at you, but also the way you look at yourself.
Yes.
So it's always a duo between the individual and the collective. So the stronger the individual is, the stronger the collective will be. So I think giving this kind of tools and giving this kind of message will help people to play a role in building a better society.
And their own futures.
Yes.
And you know that my podcast is called 4 Quarter Lives. And so I invite each of my guests to, and you must be particularly good at this with your skill at metaphor, to metaphorize each of the 4 quarters of their own lives. What would you call your Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4?
That was a nice question. So maybe my first quarter, I will call that roots. Trying to understand where you come from, who you are, and where you go.
Yep, absolutely.
The second one, I will call it seeds, where it's time for planting, harvesting, blooming. The third one will be wings, where it's time to deploy your wings as you become a bit more free to take your own choices. And the last one, I don't know yet, but I think I will call that fly. Deploy your wings and go explore everything you did not have yet, because you're more than free. Now you can do everything, without worrying of anything anymore.
I think those are better metaphors than I have ever yet heard, and I think I might have to steal them from you and adopt them. Roots, seeds, wings, and flight. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I note that you are probably still in your wings category, so I look forward to seeing you take off one day completely. Already, thank you again for the inspiration of how we can all think more about transitioning through those phases and using our roots and plantings of the first half of life to really take off in the second half.
Thank you so much, Avivah.
To Nold and to you, Anne. Thank you so much for joining me.
It was very encouraging. Thank you. Very gratifying. Thank you very much.
For more thinking about the impact of our 4-quarter lives, you can read my column at Forbes and subscribe to my Elderberries newsletter on Substack. Let's design lives that aren't just longer, but better.